The Predatory Female. A Field Guide to Dating and the Marriage Divorce Industry. By Reverend Lawrence Shannon. The Date and the Live-In. Never try to impress a woman or she'll always hold you to that standard. W.C. Fields. Boot Camp. How do the concepts of predatory females apply to dating? Dating is the female's boot camp for males. Here the man is taught to habitually finance the woman in nearly everything. He learns to be a combination chauffeur and valet while paying for the privilege. Additionally, he becomes conditioned to sitting at her feet, leash in mouth, tail wagging, anticipating the slightest hint of a sexual favor. His female drill instructor is the end product of 6,000 years of survival of the fittest. While he is usually there just for fun, she's working. Even if her motives are only entertainment, she's playing hardball. If simply to make someone else jealous, she will polish her predatory skills on the date. Manipulating him is her business, and he, almost never forewarned by parents or friends, is usually an amateur at defending himself. Further, a man on a date today is, by his very presence, often giving his implied consent to be used as a footstool. The matriarchy has couched these unspoken demands in the guise of customs and manners. If you refuse to perform as expected, then you are at fault. It's a curious parallel with the current public smoking controversy. How so? Like a smoker who persists in polluting public air, forcing people to breathe waste byproducts, a predatory female will consider you the bad guy if you won't let her dump on your head. So predatory females are dangerous, even on the dating level. For the formal daughter today, the hours are long and the pay is low, but somebody's got to do it. Dating is the beginning of the cat and mouse game that women play with men. The game may extend beyond marriage. The cat will play with the mouse as long as she is amused, but when she becomes bored, she eats the mouse for lunch. Every woman is at heart a rake. Alexander Pope. Slot machine. Can a man ever hope to break even with the female? No. In the end, the female will always disappoint him. The slot machine rule applies at all times. What is the slot machine rule? An extension of the principle that there is no such thing as a free lunch, the slot machine. Rule states that dealing with the woman on a personal level is like playing with a slot machine. It's fun to watch, to play with, and it gives rewards. But the odds are against you. The longer you play the same machine, the more it will cost. It will periodically pay off in small amounts, teasers, but you will invariably end up in the red. And a date is like feeding in the first quarter. Yes, and you might hit a jackpot. But sooner or later the slot takes it all back with interest. What if you just quit? Before you are even out of sight, the machine is being cranked by another sucker. Indeed, he was probably cranking surreptitiously before your departure. Public property. Why do you describe predatory females as being in the public domain? The image of a man dragging a woman to his cave and sequestering her for himself is a popular fantasy. It has no application to the modern, predatory female. The entire concept of a male maintaining a female for his exclusive enjoyment is completely fictitious. This applies not only to sexual favors, but other charms as well. What import does this have in a dating situation? If an individual fails to understand that a female's charms are never given, only loaned, he is doomed to exploitation. The male must constantly remember that there is absolutely no such entity as an exclusive use of a woman's sexual favors. They are always other men, and sometimes women. The man's innate desire to possess a female, to have his own little sex doll and intimate companion, is his biggest vulnerability. A predatory female will use this weakness to lead him into a trap and destroy him. The love of my life. Who is this love of my life that women refer to? The phrase applies to an imaginary man that most women feel they will someday meet. He is the one they are always searching for. He is her lover. The label is often applied to prospective husbands, but shortly after marriage is reassigned to someone else, often imaginary. Thereafter, successive lovers fill the role. So the predatory female always has two men in her life? 3. We must not forget the gynecologist, a doctor she can enjoy a special intimacy with and fulfill some fantasies in the bargain. The gyno. Would the predatory female place her gynecologist on an equal level with her husband and lover? Certainly. Moreover, she will confide things in him that husbands and lovers never hear. He is the high priest to the volcano, the fountain of female magic. He enjoys a rapport with her source of power. How does this apply to a date or live-in? Consider this: you've wined and dined a young lady all evening and been invited into her home. She plays soft music and kisses you, but says it's improper to have sex until she's known you longer. What's wrong with that? Nothing, until the other shoe drops. The following morning she goes to her gynecologist. Although happy to wear everyday old clothes around her loved ones, she departs for the gyno appointment dressed to receive royalty. Arriving at the office, she is promptly ushered into the stirrups. She eagerly awaits the doctor, who is a 28-year-old suburban sex fiend wearing 10 pounds of gold body jewelry. He drives a red Porsche with personalized plates saying Obgyn. Within moments, this stranger is practically up to his elbows in her vagina in the interest of medicine. Basic rule: the accessibility of the female genitalia hinges strictly on her immediate, conceived objectives. So meanwhile, as the unpaid valet and volunteer batman of the previous evening, you are left with the mail-order, inflatable sex doll. What about the fantasies? For many predatory females, a visit to the gyno is a socially acceptable form of rape or exhibitionism. After all, it's only a question of what part of his body he puts into her. And many will state they are in love with their gynos. He understands me. He is intimate with me, therefore we have to be close. Some even flirt with the doctor while propped in the stirrups, flanging their labia and behaving as if nothing unusual is in progress. Working. When is a predatory female working? The predatory female is working when she is in the process of preying on a male or another female. The males are by far the most frequent victims. A visit to any popular restaurant, for example, will enable you to see predatory females working. While the male is paying for the dinner and drinks, she is further charms and doing little numbers on his head. She may be telling him why they should be living together, be married, whatever. She may be cultivating an all-expenses-paid vacation. The possibilities are endless, and the predatory female knows how to exploit every advantage when she is working. What about her job or career? Her job is what she does when she's not working. Feast or famine. Why can I go for months without meeting an interesting girl, and finally, when I do meet someone, girls that ignored me suddenly become friendly? A man who is alone tends to radiate a lean, hungry look that drives women away. Your new association with the woman has eliminated that deprived image and added a seasoning of decadence that attracts the female. You have become interesting to them. Further, if they perceive you as spoken for, they'll want you even more, because the predatory female always wants what she can't have. Cloak and dagger. Recently, I made the disturbing discovery that, while I was in the shower, my girlfriend sneaked a look through my wallet and address book. Does that qualify her as a predatory female? Does Howdy Doody have a wooden ass? Of course it does, but don't be overly alarmed. She is working. The creatures will do this. Enjoy her performance. Incredibly, your relationship with her is probably at its zenith. This is simply a danger signal and common behavior for a predatory female who is acquisitive, seriously zeroing in on you. She considers you ripe for the plucking. It's also a sign that you have probably let the camel get its head a little too far into the tent. The predatory female never refers to these types of indiscretions as snooping. They call it tidying up or cleaning. Love and war. Does the all is fair in love and war idea need to be reappraised? Definitely. All is fair in love and war is an old saying that isn't taken seriously by today's men. An acquisitive female will go far beyond the bounds of propriety and good manners to achieve her goals. In her mind, almost nothing is construed as going too far. She doesn't consider it underhanded to rifle through his wallet and personal effects, to spy on him through his friends, or tell any lie that is expedient. honesty and integrity are of no concern to a fully bloomed, predatory female in the acquisitive mode. Amazingly, she would defend her moratorium on integrity as a woman's privilege. She can be totally ruthless in this regard. The male's failure to grasp this has led to much unhappiness. Brinksmanship. What about danger in dating? You could be the pawn in a scheme to make the husband or boyfriend jealous and end up being shot. You may contract a disease. She may rob you or slash her wrists in your shower. A routine traffic citation may result in your being jailed because she dropped drugs in your car. You could be in a serious traffic accident. The very fact she is with you points to both the acquisitive mode and the chameleon syndrome with all their dangers. Dating is usually the medium predatory females use to hook a man. The words catch, snare, and trap are also popular. These words carry a message. If marriage is the skewering and broiling of the scrotum, dating is tantamount to dangling the grenades over a fire. At its very best, dating or living with a predatory female is brinksmanship and will exact a large toll. At its worst, you're facing possible diseases, lawsuits, physical injury, or death. The stinger. Is there a single, dominant force used by predatory females to hypnotize and control males? It is a combination of her appearance, personality, charm, wit, compatibility, and sexual prowess. Narrowed down to one thing: raw sexual allurement. Pussy power will ultimately deal the knockout blow. In the advanced stages of sexual hypnosis, the male may subconsciously want to crawl into the vagina and live there. Most normal, healthy men are capable of becoming total slaves to a well-orchestrated sexual enticement, and the predatory female is acutely aware of this. If necessary, she will stretch that vulva right over his head and smother him to get what she wants. But remember, although a predatory female may truly be fun and fulfilling outside of her skill in bed, this is the most dangerous type. You might let your guard down. A different drum. Please expound on the communication gap between the sexes. Predatory females flatly think differently than males. What is black to him may be white to her. He may believe they've reached an understanding when in fact her idea of what's understood is totally different from operate with the same set of standards. Consequently, there really is no common ground. Therefore, even a sincere promise or agreement is misconceived on at least one side. All treaties are faulty from the outset. Any form of contract with a predatory female is doomed to distress. The snake charmer. Would you characterize dating and living together as a form of snake charming? Absolutely. A king cobra can reportedly rise 12 feet into the air, an awesome sight. This ancient reptile, one of the most dangerous creatures on Earth, but breathtaking and fascinating, makes a comparison with the predatory female unavoidable. They vary in size. Some hiss before striking, others are sluggish and have to be prodded into movement, but all deserve respect. It's difficult to imagine having sex with something like that. Historically, the sex drive transcends all boundaries. The man on a date must carefully approach the wicker basket containing the snake predatory female. He must then gently unlatch the lid and softly woo the creature while lowering his scrotum into the basket. The trick is to seduce the snake and get the lid back down before she strikes. What if they are living together? A man living with his girlfriend has simply carried the snake into his bedroom. He must always be on guard and constantly ensure the latch is secure on the basket. Russian roulette. What about VD? Venereal disease can be another one of dating's little surprises. If you plan on doing much sport fucking in our matriarchal society, you'd better wear a wetsuit. Beware of the camel. My girlfriend has suggested that we live together. She says our relationship can't go anywhere otherwise. What are your views? The predatory female loves to utilize the ancient Arabic principle that once a camel gets its head into the tent, getting the rest of the beast inside is easy. You not only have to consider the pandemonium and possible destruction that goes with the camel in the tent, but the uproar and damages attendant in getting her out. Remember, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You'll pay one way or the other, even if it's just with your peace of mind. Snip. Does the predatory female possess a subconscious desire to geld the male? Yes, but usually she is happy with her head sufficiently into the tent for the legal process to perform a symbolic castration. Occasionally, however, she will show interest in less abstract methods, providing yet another reason to sleep with one eye open whenever the camel is in residence. At the very least, a man will always be weakened in proportion to the amount of time he spends with a female. They have a natural ability to drain the male, both mentally and physically. This makes him easier to control and more susceptible to her entreaties. A man living with a woman is in a most precarious position. She may wait on him until he is unaccustomed to taking care of himself. She may feed him until he becomes fat and clumsy. He loses the eye of the tiger, gradually becoming another servile gelding of the matriarchal society. The ultimate conclusion appears in the marital state, where he is reduced to a legally disenfranchisee, fickerhead, a pathetic slave of the system. Does the married man ever realize his entrapment? Eventually, but many strut ignorantly and pompously around in their cages for years before awakening to their predicament. Others, to survive, adapt a peace at any price attitude. Housey calls. I was living alone until one became infatuated with a girl. I thought the feeling was mutual and we lived together for 6 months. When it became apparent she was taking advantage of my hospitality, we agreed that she would move back to her previous address, no hard feelings. Shortly thereafter, I left on a business trip. Returning home, I found the locks changed and a court order to stay off my own property, pending another hearing. It took my attorney 4 months to reinstate me and cost nearly $10,000. During that time I lived in a motel and she entertained wildly in my home. There was property damage, but it's evidently an uncollectible debt. Is it no longer safe to let a woman into your home? Since the Lee Marvin trial, it has become fashionable for women, having received some form of hospitality or oral promise, either real or imagined, to seek financial rewards from the courts. Never has the admonition to keep the camel's head out of the tent been more timely. Allowing a woman into your home, spending the night at her place, or even lingering in her company can result in your being sued, evicted, criminally charged, subjected to public ridicule, or dragged through months of embarrassment and inconvenience. Of course, if you're married, the situation is explosive. Wives, discovering secret affairs, have been sued by their husbands' mistresses for disruption of livelihood. The wasp and the spider. It's hard to realize how caring for a woman can become such a springboard to disaster. There is a female wasp that can be likened to a woman. Although a tarantula spider is much bigger and stronger than this wasp, she can easily sting him until he is comatose, proceeding to build her nest on his back. She lays her eggs, raises her young, and feeds from his living body. If he resists, she stings him into lethargy again. He eventually dies, but not until she's done with him. He simply can't ever get her off his back. The prudent man remembers this spider whenever a female suggests living with him. Low down payment. My girlfriend says our relationship hasn't progressed, and if I don't let her move in, she wants to break up. Undoubtedly, but keep in mind they all dump you sooner or later anyway. Your only elective is choosing how far the camel's head will be into the tent when you are dumped. Have you considered minimizing your losses? This female is marketing her wares and you are reluctant to put up any front money. Why not opt for a new vendor? The reluctant lamb. My girlfriend and I have disagreed on living together. She wants to and I don't, but to make matters worse, her best friend encourages her to dump me. Your hesitance at becoming another victim of the matriarchal system has caused you to fall into disfavor with the pack. They are pressuring your girlfriend for results and probably waving your replacement in front of her nose. They'll not be happy until the hide from your buttocks is tacked on the barn door for drying and stretching. While your option for a clean getaway is still available, use it. Love gap. I lived with a girl for over a year, and when I refused to marry her, she broke off our affair and moved out. Within 2 weeks she was married to another man. I saw her recently and she behaved like a stranger, despite having professed undying love only 3 months previously. How do you explain such radical changes? There were no changes. She never cared about you in the first place, but you have been blind to it by failing to grasp the nature of the predatory female. You loved her, but she didn't love you. She is incapable of loving anyone, including her new husband. A predatory female never loves anyone but herself. Using sex to lure men into loving her, she can only pretend at loving them back. This is natural, involuntary behavior for the predatory female. She feeds them sex, fusses over them, makes them feel loved, but it's only an act. It's the chameleon syndrome in full bloom. She uses their love, or infatuation, to manipulate and control, stinging them like the wasp on the spider's back, until they are incapable of rational thought where she is concerned. The predatory female never becomes, male does. Her emotional involvement is strictly contingent upon her degree of success in bringing the male crashing to earth. It is not a conscious deceit, but an unconscious one. When, as in your case, she fails to trap him permanently, she can easily leave because her involvement was only temporal. This is one of the toughest axioms for men to accept. Predatory females flatly don't care. The person deserving the sympathy is the poor unfortunate who married her. He has volunteered to become the host body for this parasite, and serves as another living proof that slavery is the natural state of man. I just can't believe that women don't really ever love men, at least in the same way men love them. The predatory female herself is sometimes fooled in this regard. She can be victimized by her own predatory nature, especially if she's young. But the experienced ones know better. They're counting on your inability to understand or accept it. They know your male ego will side with them. If your girlfriend sincerely believes she loves you, be sympathetic, be understanding. She just doesn't know herself yet. But don't let her immaturity bring havoc into your life. He who cares least wins. How might one enjoy dating various attractive females without incurring some of the nightmares you've described? Keep in mind the basic rule that he who cares least wins. Do not allow yourself to become emotionally attached to your dates and girlfriends, or some very unhappy days are in store for you. You may allow them to enjoy your body, your mind, and your money, but always deny them your soul. 2 heads. Doesn't the male share the blame for his demise through females? He shares most of the blame. After all, he is the one with 2 heads, and he lets the little head tell the big head what to do. Cheaper to rent. Given the pitfalls of associating with predatory females, perhaps prostitution should be taken more seriously. Prostitutes may be the only honest women, insofar as their sex lives are concerned, because they'll generally tell you the price up front. Remember the basic rule: if it flies, floats, or fucks, it's cheaper to rent. Isolation. Since I began living with a girl, I've noticed even my longtime friends have gradually stopped calling. Suddenly I've realized that most of our friends are really hers. The isolation factor is another weapon used by the predatory female in her conquering of the male. She will, as the relationship progresses, begin cutting off his friends and confidants. She increasingly monopolizes his time. After a while, his friends don't call anymore. Little by little, she becomes his only companion. This is powerful medicine, because when she finally leaves him, he is totally alone. He's not only lost his only companion, but has no one to turn to. Counseling. My lying girlfriend spends a lot of time talking with her friends about our relationship and whether we are going anywhere. Men rarely discuss these subjects. Hence I feel outnumbered and at somewhat of a disadvantage. Correct. You are both outnumbered and at a disadvantage. From continuous discussion with her friends and relatives, she is probably much better prepared than you to argue whether you are going anywhere. Since men almost never counsel each other on avoiding the snares of the predatory female, they are reduced to scrambling about individually, committing the same errors, and being singly trapped and neutralized. So effective is the isolation of the males, that when one tries to counsel another he invariably gets a deaf ear. Guys just don't listen, period. A test. My girlfriend has moved out to live with her 2 former roommates while I make a decision about our future. I miss her, but marriage scares me. Curiously, a woman instinctively knows just how far to go in getting what she wants and rarely goes any further. Obviously, the committee or pack is deciding your fate while you are left with nothing but a plastic Judy and a tube of Mr. Stiff. Breaking cover. My girlfriend recently became extremely upset when I didn't leave what she considered an appropriate tip at a restaurant. She accused me of being cheap, and later, a tightwad. She said I embarrassed her. Is this an indication of a dangerous predatory female? When a woman makes any kind of remark to the effect that you are stingy, remember that this is a way of declaring her expertise at spending someone else's money, probably yours. The Blitz. What is the Blitz? It's the heavy bombardment used by the predatory female when she is making her final move to coerce you into some arrangement favorable to her, usually marriage. Often accompanied by the ultimatum, the Blitz consists mainly of a barrage of reasons why you should agree to marry her. Some examples are: you will end up a lonely old man. You won't have anyone to come home to. You'll never meet anyone like her again. Who will take care of you when you're old? You'll never know the joys of having children. Letting her go means the end of the gourmet meals. You won't have anyone to share your life with. You couldn't stand to see her with someone else. Remember, a predatory female doesn't have to be living with you in order to subject you to the Blitz. Is there anything I might do to prevent the Blitz? Take a calculated risk and tell her, at the earliest point in your relationship, that you want to marry her. Propose to her on the first date. Hopefully she will reject the idea, even stare curiously at you. Never mention it again. If the subject ever resurfaces, simply say that you were turned down once and don't want to think about it anymore. It's too painful. Reminders. Are there signs to indicate a Blitz may be in the offing? The Blitz can be detonated by many things, like her best friend or sister announcing wedding plans, or the arrival of her 30th birthday. Specific signs may even be absent, since the predatory female, like the shark, can strike without warning. However, if she starts leaving numerous personal articles in your home clothes and toiletries, or begins practicing her signature using your last name, she is getting ready for a power move. Why would she begin leaving personal articles in my home, aside from convenience? The personal articles give her a reason to come back, they remind you of her, and they drive other women away. Collapse. Why do so many guys finally just give in to the demands of these women? Aside from all the entrapments and coercions discussed earlier, a lot of men just don't know what to do with themselves unless they have a woman in the background, telling them what to do. These are the terminal victims of the matriarchy. Additionally, giving up is a lot easier when everyone around you is surrendering, too. Slavery is the natural state of man. The ultimatum. My lying girlfriend threatens to leave me very soon if we don't get married. She says she will regretfully find another man, one who understands her needs. Since all of my friends have been ripped off, I am suspicious of marriage, but losing her would be a devastating blow to me. I have grown very comfortable with her. What do you recommend? You are facing the ultimatum, the calling of your hand, the springing of the trap, and the most common power move of the predatory female. If I don't get what I want, I'll leave and look elsewhere. Me. This is always the bottom line with the predatory female. A man cohabits peacefully more or less with a woman as long as he does what she wants. If he balks at his load, she leaves him unless he has become some sort of personal challenge. In that case, she'll stick around until the matter is resolved, but will begin lining up replacements. Starting with Adam, who purposely ate the fruit knowing full well the consequences, men have historically given in to avoid being left by the woman. Remember, if she doesn't get what she wants, she is perfectly willing to be without you. You are expendable. Will you be any less expendable after she has what she wants? Unload the hate bag. You've already made the mistake of letting the camel into the tent. Even without marriage, you may have trouble getting her out through the door. There may be a scene. The camel may buck, collapsing the tent and strewing your belongings all over the desert. But at least you'll still own the tent and its furnishings. You are going to have to face being alone until you find another squeeze. This may take some remedial training and conditioning. But first you must get rid of the problem. Act worried. Tell her to go ahead and move out because you need to make up your mind alone. It's a tough decision. You need a couple of months by yourself. Be accommodating and help her find new quarters. Help her move. Get your house key back. Send her change of address to the post office. Once she's out of your house, get her out of your mind and remember Lot's wife. Don't ever look back. Role reversal. What is the role reversal safeguard? It's a simple step to guard against doing something stupid when dealing with a predatory female. Just reverse the situation and ask yourself if she would do what she's asking or expecting you to do. A good example is marriage. Few women would marry if the conditions and ground rules were reversed. Under no circumstances would a predatory female put herself in the legally and financially subservient position that a man assumes when he marries. Role reversal always illuminates dealings with predatory females. Sometime when buying an expensive dinner for a female, ask yourself if she would do that for you. Would she buy your dinner and pay for your drinks? Anytime you find yourself fanning your wallet around a woman, try the role reversal test. Diabolical honesty. What if I resist the efforts of a predatory female and she ultimately decides her time was wasted? Her feelings toward you will become sharply ambivalent. On one hand, she respects you and on the other she hates you. A thwarted acquisitive female will hate you in a nebulous, transitory fashion and will probably say so. Often it's just, "I hate you," spoken at some opportune time. But isn't there a subdued hate that women always entertain against the men they're involved with? Yes, one way or the other, she'll always hate you. If she can control you, she'll hate you for destroying her sense of security. If she can't control you, she'll hate you for that. The predatory female always wants what she can't have. Satan recognized this trait in the garden. But oddly, predatory females are often honest, while they hate you in a diabolical way. They are given to announcing their intentions, sometimes blatantly, in a style reminiscent of Mein Kampf, or as Capitalo here, "I'm going to get you," or "I'm going to marry you," even when you barely know them, is not unusual. The last stand. What if I hold my ground and refuse to marry my girlfriend, even though I always love her and tell her so? She will shortly dump you and probably marry someone else, but she'll never forget you. Simply being the one that got away locks you forever into the romantic mode of her mind. She may stay with her husband, but will daydream about you. She couldn't maneuver you. You stood up for yourself, you won, you are the hero, and that's romantic. She'll always grudgingly admire you. The time bomb. My girlfriend turned 30 and immediately became demanding about a commitment from me. Please comment. The predatory female has a short service life. The bloom comes off the rose rather quickly and they are capable of becoming panicky and demanding. 30 is a number that lights a fuse under the predatory female. 35 is worse and 40 is often the gateway to some psychotic behavior. The nervous, panty look, the darting eyes, and the irrational statements coupled with ultimatums are all signs of the post-30 fuse effect. Her friends other predatory females have been pecking and clucking at her to get married, doing their best to make her feel inadequate. Men are generally unaware of the enormous and often vicious peer pressure that women put on each other to marry and have children. Predatory females aren't happy at simply being married themselves. They want all their friends and relatives married, too. It's time to bow gracefully out of any arrangements you may have with a predatory female of this type. Indeed, from this point forward, time is against you. Bitter end. I know when my girlfriend finally realizes she's been dumped there will be a lot of bitterness and maybe a scene. The discarded predatory female can be at once pathetic and dangerous. If possible, you should engineer the final departure in a public place with good egress. Normally, predatory females are not good losers and don't handle rejection well. This is because they rarely have to deal with rejection. Further, since they invariably want what they can't have, your dumping her may only increase her desire to get you. In any case, be prepared for a barrage of verbal abuse and complaints. She'll recall her smallest dissatisfactions from the infancy of the relationship. She may even say you were no good from the outset, but that she'd hoped to change you. Her friends warned her about you and told her to dump you a long time ago. She should have listened. Much of what she says will approximate the verbal rancor that marks the final hours of a marriage. Expensive furs. Should I mention my insights into the character of predatory females when in the company of same? Does a chicken have lips? If you were raising chinchillas, would you go out of your way to upset them by rattling a stick against their cages? An upset or nervous creature will produce an inferior pelt. Be nice. Don't rankle them by exposing their predatory natures. You want the most for your dating dollar, and every minute with her costs money. Heckling will only detract from her performance and adversely affect the return on your investment. 5 faces. What are the 5 faces? The ephemeral 5 faces of Eve are recalled by many who have experienced long relationships with predatory females. The first face appears at the introduction. Another one emerges while dating, and others present themselves while living together, marrying, and divorcing, respectively. Sometimes the faces represent 5 different personalities. Many divorced men are sending monthly alimony checks to women bearing little resemblance, physically or mentally, to the ones they married. The grovel. When is the grovel appropriate? Hardly ever, and only if you don't care about the outcome. Groveling, especially an abject grovel, only drives the female away. If she senses you are doing it for fun, she may become curious, but it isn't likely to change anything. My girlfriend is seeing other men and giving me the cold shoulder when I call. She acts like a stranger and cuts the conversation short. Should I grovel? Never. You are finished, so forget her. Ignore your male ego, which is behind your urge to grovel. Imitate the predatory female who, being practically without ego, is almost immune from groveling. You're better off without her because, the fact is, you have indulged yourself with this woman. Indulgence is certainly permissible, but it's like an overpriced dessert in a fancy restaurant. You can pay the exorbitant charge once and still enjoy it. But if you indulge yourself twice, it's never as good the second time. Mind and body control. How does the predatory female manipulate your mind? Although she will never say it outright, the basic rule is that you are entitled to your views as long as they agree with hers. Should a difference arise, you are out of order. But it doesn't end there. The absolute tyranny of the predatory female extends to your actions. If you do exactly what she wants you to, peace and harmony rule. But the instant you stray from the narrow path, the predatory female will jerk on the old choke chain. If you are married, she may find the other end empty. If you are married, you get choked. Try a run. Is it possible to sample real marriage without the hideous commitment? Fortunately, yes. Simply purchase a 500-pound Bengal tiger and keep it in the backyard. Support it, feed it, and mount it. See for yourself if you are cut out for married life. The Odyssey. Why do you describe dating as living the Homeric epic? Because as a single person, you are the modern Odysseus. You will encounter, in one form or another, Sais, Scylla, Charybdis, Cyanons, and Lotus Eaters. Like Odysseus, you may trifle with nymphs, but if you don't seek the approbation of the gods, and occasionally lash yourself to the mast, you will fall victim to the most awesome, hypnotic creature extant, the predatory female.